Happy Halloween, my dear viewers. I have another ghost story for you. Back in 2007, I was hired for my first short film out of film school. The entire crew, about 10 of us, all took a bus together to some small town in the middle of nowhere, Texas. We arrived at our hotel, which occupied 2 buildings on either side of the main road. To make things easy, the entire crew stayed in one building, and we had 2 people to each room. My roommate was a really cool guy named Columbus. Yes, that was his actual name, and he was our sound guy. On the first night, the entire crew had dinner, and around 10 p.m. all of us went back to our rooms. Columbus and I stayed up for about another hour before he passed out. I couldn't fall asleep, so I put my headphones in to listen to some music. After midnight, I started to feel like Columbus and I weren't the only ones in the room. Seeing something in a dark room is quite difficult, except when it's black. Your eyes can very easily tell the difference in shades of black. The room had 2 beds, a bathroom with a toilet and a shower, and a sink that was outside of the bathroom. Next to the sink, attached to the wall, was a hairdryer, and it had a bright orange light. I had the bed that was furthest from the sink. At about midnight, I noticed that the light seems to be blinking. At first I thought, well, it might just be something with the light or the light bulb or the electricity, but as it didn't stop, I noticed that the light wasn't actually flashing, that instead some type of black mass was floating from end to end of the room very quickly and blocking the light, giving it the appearance that it was flashing. I could very easily see this black mass, almost like a black cloud, floating from one end of the room to the other rather quick. I tried to wake Columbus up, but he's hardcore asleep. I decide to go under the blankets and just hope that the sun comes up soon. I couldn't sleep all night, and let me tell you, when I saw the sun come up, I was the happiest I had been in a long time. The crew was supposed to meet for breakfast on the first day of filming at about 7 a.m. When I get down to breakfast, I grab my food and I notice everybody's rather quiet and sort of on edge. Our director stands up in front of everyone and says, "Guys, just a quick question. Did anyone experience something strange last night?" So I raise my hand. I say, "Well, to be honest, I think I saw a ghost in my room and it was floating around back and forth." And the director looks at me and in the most serious voice says, "Oh, so I'm not the only one." He says he was in the room with the production designer. That's the guy who's basically responsible for decorating the sets. Apparently, sometime after midnight, when they had gone to sleep, the production designer woke up and saying he couldn't move. He felt like someone was sitting on his chest, pushing really, really hard. The director got up from his bed and tried to move the production designer to kind of shake him loose, but said he felt like actually he was sort of stuck to the bed. This lasted for about 10 or 15 minutes until suddenly whatever was seemingly holding the production designer down left. At this point, our bus driver raises his hand and says, "Why had something happened too?" He was laying in bed, kind of floating between being awake and falling asleep, and he had a TV directly in front of him that was off, but it was one of those old school tube TVs, not the flat screens that are common today. Now behind his bed was just a wall. He saw what looked like 2 or 3 people almost walking above him. That was it for the stories for that evening, and well, for the next couple days we all worked, everybody was tired, we went to sleep, there was nothing else that was happening. The final day of filming was a Friday, and we were to leave that Saturday back to Los Angeles. That Friday we went out to dinner to celebrate the end of the short film. We got back to our rooms. Columbus and I decided to pack up and go to sleep. At about 4 a.m. I wake up to the feeling that someone is watching me. There was a window in front of my bed that led to the backyard. As I focus on the window, I see what looks like some sort of a face looking back at me, but it wasn't a solid human face. It almost looked like it was milky or see-through. It was a man, and he had one of those small round caps like a top hat, and he popped up from the bottom of the window and kind of looked at me and sort of disappeared back down. I wake up the next morning, terrified, and I say to Columbus, "I'm so done here, I want to go back. Did you feel anything last night?" And he said, "While you were sleeping, I went out onto the fire escape to have a cigarette." While he was out there for the first couple minutes, he didn't notice anything. And then all of a sudden, he saw shadows, long shadows of people moving down beneath him about 1 story down on the ground. This was well after midnight, and nobody should have been out there. He tried to look down to see if there was people, but figured maybe they were kind of hidden under some sort of a roof that he just didn't notice, so he didn't pay attention too much to it. He said it was definitely creepy. We go to check out, and I walk over to the reception. The owner of the hotel was there, and I asked him, "Sir, can you tell me, is this hotel haunted?" And he said, "Yes, we have two events. The first was that in the 1930s, there was a mayor who caught his wife cheating, and he shot them both and then committed suicide. And he likes to peek into the windows and look at people. We think because he's looking for his wife cheating on him." And the second thing that happened was we had a boy who used to play on our property. Unfortunately, he was hit by a car and died, but his spirit still decides to play here. I checked out lightning fast, got on the bus, and was ready to go back to Los Angeles. As we were driving away, something told me, look back at the building. I turn over my right shoulder and I look up to the second floor, and in the window I see what looks like a little boy looking back at me. That's it for this story. Once again, my dear viewers, happy Halloween.